Sold out by his own. Imagine being sold out by your own brothers, thrown in a pit and shipped off as a slave, and somehow that's not even the worst part of the story. Joseph was his father Jacob's favorite, obvious to everyone, especially his 11 brothers. He got a special coat, he got the attention, and he had dreams, vivid ones, where his brothers' bundles of grain bowed down to his, where the sun, moon, and stars bowed to him too. He wasn't shy about sharing them either, which did nothing for his popularity at home. The jealousy builds until it boils over. Out in the fields, away from their father, the brothers grab Joseph, throw him into an empty pit, and sit down to eat while he's down there. Reuben quietly plans to rescue him later, but before that happens, the others sell Joseph to a caravan of traders for 20 pieces of silver. They dip his coat in goat's blood and tell their father a wild animal killed him. Jacob is destroyed with grief. Joseph, meanwhile, is hauled off to Egypt in chains. Sold into the household of an official named Potiphar, Joseph works hard and rises fast, until Potiphar's wife falsely accuses him of assault after he refuses her advances, and he lands in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Even there, Joseph keeps showing up with integrity, eventually interpreting dreams for 2 of Pharaoh's officials. One of them, once freed, forgets all about Joseph for 2 full years. Then, Pharaoh has a dream nobody can interpret. The official finally remembers Joseph, and he's pulled from prison to stand in front of the most powerful man in Egypt. Joseph interprets the dream, 7 years of abundance followed by 7 years of famine, and lays out a plan to survive it. Pharaoh is so impressed, he puts Joseph in charge of the entire country, second only to himself. Years later, when the famine hits, Joseph's brothers show up in Egypt to buy grain, with no idea the powerful official standing in front of them is the brother they sold. Joseph eventually reveals himself, and instead of revenge, he says something that reframes the entire story. You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. Why it matters. Betrayal doesn't get the final word on your story. Joseph's lowest points, the pit, slavery, prison, weren't the end of his story, they were chapters in it. What happens to you isn't the whole story until it's actually over. Integrity in the dark builds who you become in the light. Joseph stayed faithful in prison with no audience and no guarantee it would matter. Who you are when nobody's watching shapes who you are when everyone is. You can reframe pain without pretending it didn't hurt. Joseph didn't say what his brothers did was fine. He said God used it anyway. Healing isn't denial, it's finding meaning without erasing the wound.